Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bluestone X BTP Coffee Corners, where we're breaking down all things BTP into the individual pillars and discussing what you need to know. Today the topic of conversation is automation, and for that we've got our resident automation expert Soumya joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Automation, it's up there with Gen AI as the biggest buzzword in the industry at the moment, but one I feel people are getting a little bit jaded by.
Yes, process automation along with Gen AI is the buzzword right now in, say, it started from 2023 and it's going on to 2024, and I think it will go on for the few more years to come on. That's because of the capability that it's actually offering, that it's kind of the buzzword right now from SAP.
Okay, so like I said, there's a lot of buzz around this topic, but for those of us that are still kind of, trying to get our heads around it, what is automation?
Every business will have, say, different kind of processes. There are certain processes which will require, say, creative thinking, certain processes which will require human judgment based on several factors, and certain processes which are really spontaneous in nature. At the same time, the business will also have some processes which are highly repetitive in nature and would not really require maximum manual activity, and the job can be done with, say, minimal human activities. So all these tasks which are highly repetitive and does not require more manual intervention can be automated with technology, and that is process automation.
Okay, so taking care of all the boring stuff, the stuff that takes too long,
Yes,
stops an organization being truly efficient.
exactly. Yes.
So what are the use cases of process automation?
To explain more about what is a process automation, we can take an example of an employee creating a leave request. So how does it work in the actual world? The employee will have to draft an email requesting for the leave, and it goes to the manager, and the manager will have to read the email and decide on whether it has to be approved or not. So when we consider a small organization with minimum employees, it seems to be a fair job for the manager to keep track of the leave requests and approve or reject. But what happens if the team actually grows into a bigger team? The manager, along with his million other jobs, will have to monitor the email just to scan for the say leave requests and then read on and approve or reject based on the decision that he has to make. This seems to be still fine, but it's a very repetitive task and does not really require too much of manual intervention into this. So that's where automation can come into play. If there is automation into picture, we just create an application where all the employees just go in, raise the request for leave with the reasons for the leave request, and the automation application will have to just bundle them up and create tasks for the manager. So instead of the manager going through the countless emails and also keep track of the leave request emails, he can just log into the application where all the leave requests, specific leave requests are put into the task list, and the manager will just have to go through the task list and approve or reject. So by doing this, the overhead of manager going into the email box and reading or sorting out the emails is reduced, and at the same time the employee will not have an overhead of keeping a reminder of the manager to check on the leave request. So that's the simplest use case of how automation can make the life of an employee and the manager easier.
Oh, definitely. And I don't know about yourself, but I'm thinking now about all the kind of little tedious, monotonous jobs that have to be done in order to get, not even a specifically strategic task out. But it gets in the way. You've got to do these to build up to completing that task to move on to the big thing.
Exactly, yes.
So if you can take care of all of that, the potential for being truly efficient is massive.
Yes, truly, yeah. That's right. So I think in one of the SAP build process automation videos which SAP itself has posted, it's actually captured a software developer who does an automated app for his family because his kids keep asking for time out to stay out of the house for a longer time. So he's actually built an SAP automated application wherein the kids will raise the request. He'll actually go through the request via the app and approves or reject instead of rather than just having the conversation.
I hear the term a lot, sort of like an automation roadmap. So what's that? And are we seeing one this year?
Yes. So the automation roadmap that's carved out for 2024 and the early 2025 from SAP is pretty good. So it not only improvises the existing build process automation tools, but along with it, it kind of adds in the AI stuff as well. and also say cater to the complex processes that can be automated, unlike just the simple ones. So it seems to be pretty good for the entire year. They have a clear roadmap that is defined.
So that's just part of the very near future of
Yes, that's right.
automation.
Yeah.
What are your expert insights into what's coming in the, say, long-term future of automation?
A long-term future of the automation would be right now AI is also coming into picture, that is generated from SAP. So the AI also will play hand in hand task along with the automation. So that's where SAP's Joule comes into picture, where it's just until now automation would be usable process automation tools manually for actually configuring a process that will reduce the repetitive task. But once Joule comes into picture, probably it will be even more easier. You don't even have to drag and drop. You just type in saying what is the process that has to be configured, and with SAP's predefined content, the entire process is already configured and given, say, handed over to you very easily.
Wow. So you wouldn't necessarily need to know what you need to even automate. It would just do it for you.
Yeah. So up until now, or until say a few more quarters, it's us who will be defining the processes that has to be, say, automated. But in the near future, or after some more quarters, what we'll be able to see is you doing that. You just type in the problem statement and you have a solution handed.
See, that sounds amazing, but I'd imagine there'd be concerns out there for, if we're able to do all this, should people be worried about their jobs?
That's a good point. To be frank, if the automation tool is doing most of the works, do we even need developers who are actually developing the software in the industry? That's the main fear that's actually there in the industry. But to be fair, the developers are still required, same way the employees who are actually carrying out the tasks are still required, even if the automation is in place. So one of the classic examples from the recent past would be that of a company called Prestige Real Estate, which is back in India, where the number of employees involved are more than 9,000, and it has a customer base which scales up to millions. So it's basically a real estate company which sells buildings or lands. So one of the tasks that they have is to keep track of the statement of accounts for the financials, and also the down payment dues. So they will have to remind each of the customer on when is the deadline for them to finish the down payment that has to be done for the property. So up until now, how Prestige was carrying it out was they had hundreds of employees who had hundreds of systems where they had to carry out the transaction codes and probably get the statements of accounts manually, and then they will actually go through what is the deadline for the payment to be made, and then notify to each of the customer via, say, email or WhatsApp. So this entire process spanned for over 2 weeks. And it used to happen with, say, 100 plus employees within Prestige who are actually doing it. But they installed SAP Build Process Automation tool. And right now, after the process has been automated, the employees involved in the task have been reduced to, say, tens. And the amount of time that the task is taking is probably 7 minutes. It's not over, say, 2 weeks that was happening earlier. And with this, they're really proud of how the transformation has happened. And the best part is the entire process was developed properly in 4 weeks, and they went live to production within 4 weeks. And what they specifically claim is, after this entire process was automated, the big question that comes up is, so what happens to the hundreds of employees who are actually doing the job manually? Are they still there after the automation is done? Yes, very much. So they're really proud to put the remaining, say, 90s of employees into something more customer-centric or something more creative. So all the employees are still in time doing something more meaningful and creative. So that's how automation is going to help, and it's not really a threat to the people who are actually existing.
Oh, so it's more of a companion for opportunity.
Yep.
I like that. And speaking of opportunity, SAP themselves have been pretty open about the fact that they've been struggling to bring young people into SAP, which has formed, as we're calling it, the skills gap.
Yes.
So how can automation help that?
Yeah, so I started off with SAP myself years ago. I was fresh out of the college, and I started working with SAP Web Pro screens, which are the core SAP screens, and I started working with the Web Pro screens. I was not really into them, and I was really questioning my decision of why did I even join this company. But over the years, I'm still back working with SAP with the same sort of stuff, but with, say, reinvented tools. Right now, when I look at build process automation tool, every morning, I'm happy to still work with it. So it does not scare me or it does not put me off. So looking at the transformation over the years, so it's not just the old people who want to still work with SAP. SAP is trying to bring the new age stuff for the youngster, and the process automation really kind of does something cool for the youngsters at least. The first use case that I spoke about was the employee leave request app. The application seems to be pretty simple. So none of the youngsters really want to actually sit and code for something as simple as, say, leave request, which is just a repetitive task, let's be honest. So when such, say, questions are given or so problems are given to the youngsters and the process automation tool exists, all they have to do is just drag and drop, get the things done, and that's all done. So you are, say, handing over the solution and you have ample amount of time. What can they do? They can learn something more useful, more exciting, say something to do with new UX or something to do with AI. So they can spend their time elsewhere more meaningful rather than, say, menial jobs which are off-putting for them right now. So that's where SAP is actually helping the youngsters to bridge the gap just to get the things done and also spend the time meaningfully.
Yeah, so there's definitely an aspect of colleague experience in automation.
Yeah.
So if someone is now watching out, they're going, okay, this should be on our agenda for 2024. Where should they start?
Okay, so to start at, say, working on build process automation is very simple. I think SAP is branded, or it's kind of offering the automation tool in a very nice manner. The very simple starting point would be just go to the SAP website, look for build process automation, and it opens up a website where there's an interactive learning or getting to know of what the process automation tool does. If you have no idea about what is happening with the tool or what you can automate, just go open the interactive, say, product guidance, guided experience, and it just offers you just clicks of what has to be done and what can you achieve with it. Probably it will take less than 5 minutes, and once you're done with it, you'll get a fair idea of what is the tool all about. And once you are done with the guided experience, you can, if you have a BTP trial account, just log into your account, subscribe for the service of, say, build process automation and say, cockpit launches, and off you go. That's as simple as that.
Where could Bluestone X help along the way with this?
Bluestone X comes into picture along with all the expertise in technical, functional, the design thinking aspects, along with the AI capabilities. We can even, say, identify based on the business that's happening, we can identify the process that can be made better. We can identify the bottleneck process in the business of the customer and help them have a really efficient day altogether.
So it's the whole process end to end. It's the holistic view of automation.
Exactly.
And it's fun.
Yes. It's fun for us, not really for the customers, because they'll have to do it every day. So that's where we are there to help them out.
We could go on about automation automatically, couldn't we? But that is the end of the second coffee corner. We'll be back with another one. If you do have any questions for our BTP experts, feel free to drop them down below. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye.